Hello, everyone in the room. Hello, everyone on Zoom. My name is Cameron Martin, and I'm a recycling education rep with Waste Management, or we go by WM now. And my job is to educate Oakland residents and businesses about what can go into the 3 streams here in Oakland, with the goal of diverting as many materials as we can away from the landfill.
Thank you. No, go ahead.
Well, okay, and I'm really glad to be here at the East Bay Depot for Creative Reuse, an awesome space in our community that is doing amazing work to reuse many items that can have a new life. And I can't wait to come back and get some projects going. So we already started a discussion about some common recyclable questions about what can be recycled. This presentation is going to go into it again and into each stream. So recycling, compost, and trash. This is a requirement. Trash, landfill, yeah. So as you can see, mandatory composting and recycling in the city of Oakland. So I'm a part of a collaboration called Oakland Recycles. It's a collaboration between the city of Oakland and our 2 waste haulers, which are California Waste Solutions or CWS and WM. So WM, we handle your trash and compost here in Oakland, and CWS, California Waste Solutions, handles residential recycling. Commercial recycling is open market, which means that businesses can select which hauler they would like to work with from a list of approved haulers that the city provides. And
sorry, it's open market, but I thought you just stated it was
right. So WM and California Waste Solutions, we have an agreement with the city to haul for WM trash and compost, for California Waste Solutions residential recycling. And then commercial or business recycling, there's a list of approved haulers that they can select from for their specific needs. For example, there are some businesses in Oakland that select WM to be their recycling hauler. Some select California Waste Solutions. This also but there's a whole list of approved recyclers, including Civicor and some specialized recyclers as well, because we have a plethora of businesses here. But
all subject to the same standards.
Well, so they've been approved through the city. So yeah, the city has gone through to make sure that they're legitimate recyclers. And the thing with WM and CWS, we have what we call material recovery facilities, where we can separate out the single stream recycling, so you can put all of your glass, your plastics, metals, and paper into one stream, and that's a benefit for some people or businesses. But some businesses are very specific type of recycling material, so they'll work with a very specific recycler. And I'll have to look up some good examples of that. But there are some industries here who's more metal, so they're not going to necessarily want to work with a hauler that'll take all of the different materials. They want to work with a metal recycler. So they'll look on the list and try to find an approved recycler on the list. Yeah. So if we step a little beyond the city of Oakland, which has really high standards, we're going to run into the requirement of the state of California, which is a law called Senate Bill SB 1383, or Senate Bill SB 1383, the short-lived Climate Pollutants Act. And this is all about climate change. It's about reducing impacts of climate change by making sure that we don't send organic materials to landfills, because when those materials go to landfills, they create methane, which is a harmful greenhouse gas and contributor to climate change. So it's requiring all residents and businesses in the state to sort by materials. And in order to do that, to abide by a color scheme. Our bins need to be the same color throughout the state. So trash would be black or gray, compost green, and recycling blue. So this helps kind of, streamline the sorting process. And so it would be the same all over the state and easy for residents to
But
do.
isn't Oakland gray?
We're gonna get into it.
Okay.
We're gonna get into it. What's going on in Oakland, right? Is Oakland compliant here? So, yeah, so there's that color scheme requirement. There's the requirement of actually making sure the correct materials go into the bin. And that's why I'm here to help educate on our team. And let's see. I think that's the main things I wanted to, oh, and recycling as well. So when we recycle materials, we use less raw materials to make products, and that helps fight climate change as well. All right, so in Oakland, this is what many of our bins look like. We have the gray cart, that's like a residential cart. Maybe you've seen that one at home. And then the gray bin. We have a green compost cart, that looks good. And then the cream kind of compost bin. And this gray bin, I mean, they're popping up here and there, but really there's a lot of green trash bins out there with the burgundy cart. So the way Oakland is working toward being compliant with the state law is rolling out the new colors as needed. And there is a grace period until 2036, I believe. Yeah, it's a really good chunk of time for cities to get into compliance. That's why Oakland decided to roll these out on an as needed basis. So if you happen to have a broken cart or bin, it will be replaced with the correct color. Or if you start new service, I believe you will get the new color as well.
What color is that? It's hard to tell.
So the recycle is a bright blue. I think they have a special name for it. And then green for compost. And I think they went with charcoal gray for trash.
Yeah, it's a dark gray.
Yeah. So you might see some of these new colors out there. But you might have the old one too. Okay, so we're gonna start this talk.
Old one just means that resources haven't been used to make something new.
Right, so Oakland was really mindful about not swapping everything out all at once, because if we have carts that are usable, why not use them, right? And at WM, I had this question, like, okay, well, what's gonna happen to the carts when we switch them out? And they're like, well, we'll have to get them to different other jurisdictions that probably aren't gonna be in California, So they have some ideas around how to repurpose the carts and bins that won't be used anymore, but Oakland, I think this is actually a good thing to kind of ease into it, although it may cause a little confusion, but I guess it's worth it to save the resources.
Cameron, quick question. We have a request from somebody who's zooming in, that if you could please repeat the question loudly when somebody has a question, so they can all hear.
Yes,
Thank
will
you.
do. Okay, so what is recyclable in Oakland? We talked about the 4 main types of materials that we're looking for. So that is paper, metal, glass, and plastic. And the theme for recycling is empty, clean, and dry. So for paper, we're looking for clean paper that's not wet. It doesn't have any food on it. So this could be your junk mail, your cardboard, and here we have those cartons that we were talking about, like the juice box, the milk carton, and the Tetra Pak as well. Newspaper and the toilet paper roll. Okay. So plastic is a common item we see everywhere, but there,
Sorry, the Tetra Pak, so the Tetra Pak is, that's mixed, right?
it's a mixed material, but we have a manufacturer that will purchase it back.
Okay, so is that loud enough?
Oh,
No.
so Tetra Pak, the question was, is Tetra Pak recyclable here in Oakland? And the answer is yes.
Because the manufacturer, a manufacturer buys it.
Yes. Yes. And I want to point out that that is residential recycling as well. Residential, it's accepted. So for plastics, there are two ways to think about plastic. Well, the key word here is rigid. So we want a kind of hard plastic. And you can think about plastic in terms of shape or in terms of number. So the type of shapes we're looking for are bottles, jars, jugs, and tubs. It's okay to keep a lid on. And okay, let's talk about numbers. So the types of numbers we're accepting currently are 1s, 2s, and 5s. 1s are your clear water bottle. 2s, well, 5, oh, okay, 2s I believe are the milk jug. And then 5s are like the white, like that cottage cheese tub. So
What fraction? Sorry.
another question, yes.
Yeah, another question.
No, that's good.
I'm just curious what fraction of all plastics that end up being.
Ooh, okay, so what percentage do the 1s, 2s, and 5s make up of all plastics?
Yeah, at least in California.
Wow. That's a good question because there are so many different types. And this is including styrofoam, this is including those flimsy plastics. And it seems like everything nowadays
That's a hard question.
has a plastic element. Yeah. I don't know that ratio, but it's a good one to look up.
Yeah.
I can
Maybe it may, yeah,
look it up and probably get back to you.
sure. Maybe there's another way of putting it that's like similar, but different.
I'm taking notes.
Like the mass of the recycled plastic versus the mass of the unrecycled plastic. Of like.
Cameron, can you repeat that out loud too? So
Yes, so we were talking about the ratio of plastics that are recycled versus all the plastics that exist. So and then one way to think about it might be the mass of the
Just like how much it
recycled
weighs or something.
versus or the weight, looking at the weight.
Yeah, 'cause it's gonna
Okay.
end up in the ground.
And that's something I will have to look into.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad.
No, I thought if it just had a triangle, you could recycle it, but
No,
WM should put those numbers on the lids of the trash bin so they know.
the only issue with that is that sometimes they
It might
change
change, yeah.
depending on what's
Hopefully it'll
being
change,
accepted.
right?
We work at a school with 25 teachers and we can't get everybody to get on board because
It's confusing, right?
there's.
Yeah.
Well, the whole Midwest can't get on board, it's confusing.
Okay. Yeah, the plastic conundrum. One thing you can do is try to avoid it, but that's a challenge too. So glass. Glass is pretty simple and it's an item that can be recycled over and over and over. But we're looking for bottles and jars. These are beverage glass. So no windows or ceramics because they have a different melting point. And that Heinz tomato ketchup bottle, I mean, I guess that's on there because it's not a good example of what we're looking for. We want to make sure that your recyclables are clean. So try to rinse it out if you can. If you're out and about or something like that and you can't rinse it out, then it's better
Can
than
you
trash.
tell us more about that?
It's really, it causes contamination. When things are messy and dirty like that, they can, and we have that, everything mixed together, it can cause contamination on other pieces of recycling,
Right.
mainly paper.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, like, again, this one I think would be really sweet to know. For example, like one ketchup bottle like that. How much more are we dumping into the ground because of one ketchup bottle? Because then like, you know, I can care about that, but otherwise it's really hard because I've got a ketchup bottle, I got water, like it looks a little dirty. I don't know how dirty it is, you know?
Yeah, one thing to think about is these items going into the truck and getting smashed together. You can imagine that there's an element of contamination that's happening, but you're reducing the amount by making sure that your recyclables are clean. And I'm not talking about like running through the dishwasher. It's just like a simple rinse out or a wipe out. For containers that you can reach into, wipe it out. And if you're using a paper towel, you can compost that paper towel or use a reusable towel or a spatula.
What about,
Sorry.
like
Oh,
oil,
sorry.
bottles of oil?
Oh, yeah, just make sure they're as empty as possible.
Just repeat that.
Oh, what about bottles of oil? Just want to make sure they're as empty as possible.
And we have a question from a Zoom participant.
Yes.
If you have plastic that is labeled 1 or 5, but it is not a bottle, jug, or tub, can it be recycled? Because there are lots of things that are labeled 5, like lots of to-go containers that I'm not sure about.
Good question about the number. So yeah, if it's not a bottle, jug, tub, or jar, is it rigid enough?
We went over this, like, this is not rigid enough, probably.
Can I hold that up?
Yeah. But it's a 1.
Yeah,
Not
that's a
rigid
tough
enough.
one. It
Thank
looks,
you.
yeah, it's not that rigid, and it might not get through the process. That's the issue.
Well, is it worth it to take a chance and go, if have a question about something, put it in the recycling, and then you guys whoever's on the pick belt takes it out, or?
Yeah, we don't encourage wish. So
Yeah.
Is it better to put it in and hope that it gets through? The answer is no, because sometimes items like that can cause an issue in the process. The items that I'm really thinking about are like the flimsy bags and wires, things like that. They get tangled up in one of the sections of the material recovery facility called a disc drain. And this is where the items are they go over a bunch of wheels. And the idea is for paper to float on top and then other items to fall through. And the items that are falling through, if they're items like the plastic bag or wires or the strawberry container, they could get stuck in there, and then we have to shut down the process to clean it out.
Sorry, just to clarify and make double sure about the oil bottle. So you don't need to like wash it out with soap to try to get the oil out or anything like that?
I would say for that one, just make sure it's as empty as it can be. Yeah. For the oil bottle. Okay. Metals. So these are some examples of the metals that we're looking for. Of course, the aluminum can, it can be recycled infinitely. So always recycle your aluminum cans. So beverage, or what are these? Food cans are recyclable. Notice how clean these are. You can scrape them out with a spatula or use your towel to wipe them out or rinse them. And And then that aluminum foil pan, that's looking really good. I would use that one again. But you know, that's how clean we're hoping that the aluminum will be. So, I mean, that's an interesting one because those pans, they can get really gunky, right? So if it's looking like that, yes, please recycle it. But if not, then it would be a landfill trash item. Now that aerosol can is there because it is completely empty. Yeah, it needs to be completely empty to be recycled.
Quick question, if it's like a spray paint can, does that have to go to hazardous waste? Can it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so
For spray paint, if it has paint in it, yes, hazardous materials.
but what if it's empty?
Ah,
I mean, what if nothing comes out when you hit the knob?
it seems like it would still be a hazardous waste
Right.
material, because
Right.
any type of solvents
Mm.
or paints.
Okay,
Can we write these down? Is there uncertainty?
Well, I mean, I could double check, but I know paints need to go to hazardous
Okay.
waste, yeah.
I'm just reading your tone, and so.
Yeah, but I would say hazardous,
Okay.
yeah.
Some of the cans have paper on, should
Mhm.
we be removing the paper?
You don't need to, there's a process to remove it. Yeah. Okay, metals. All right, we covered all 4 types of materials, but we wanted to highlight that for recycling, it needs to go into the bin loose. So we don't bag recycling, and this is because of the way that it gets dumped onto the tipping floor and through the process. And when our quality control, so you see there are people who help sort, when they see a bag on the line, they just assume it's trash. They're not gonna open it up and see what's inside. They'll just take it, because anything could be inside, you know? So it's considered a trash item. So just keep your recyclables loose. Yeah, so where do the recyclables go? Your residential recycling goes to the California Waste Solutions Material Recovery Facility right here in Oakland. All right, so we're gonna talk about compost. Some examples of the bins there. So what is compostable in Oakland? We accept food scraps. Yeah, sure.
Could you say it goes to the, and I guess there's 2 different types of questions. Well, one of them is that, like, where does it go after that? And then the other one I think is whether you're open to questions about the development process of this, like, who's developing the engineering of this recycling process and so forth, and like how is that, what's the behind that? Because it seems like some of our best engineers are working with neural implants and stuff, and maybe they need to get involved.
Oh, wow.
Some other.
Oh my
processes
goodness.
So that we don't have plastics that are stuck in the.
Yes, these little issues that we're running into. Okay, so what happens to the recyclables after they go through the material recovery facility? And what kind of work is being done around innovation in recovery, basically, materials recovery? So after that process, the materials are sorted into what we call bales. These bales, you'll see bales of aluminum cans, you'll see bales of the clear plastic bottles, and these are ready to be sold to manufacturers to reuse. Now, WM, we work with manufacturers in Northern America, and I'd have to double check with CWS to see exactly who they're working with, but I know we try to work with as many people as we can within the country. But I can follow up with some specifics on exactly who they're working with.
Why would you want to work with as many people as possible?
Well, no, I mean, what I'm trying to say is are you familiar with China Sword? It was this policy that came about with from China, because a lot of our recyclers were going straight to there and they weren't quality recyclables. They're like, no, you need to send high quality stuff to us. So that disrupted the recycling industry. And so we try to work more with people within the country, within North America first, before shipping it overseas. And then also big emphasis on quality materials. You know, that's another issue, that we don't want to send trash somewhere else. We want to send high quality bales, right? That can be actually made into something new. So I know a lot of that falls onto us as just residents trying to sort our waste. But yeah, we're all working together to make sure that we can actually recycle these materials. Now, when it comes to innovation, I know WM is working on a variety of things, including ways to recycle our flimsy plastics, or plastic films is what they call it. And yeah, the recycling industry is an amazing place for a variety of professions, including, I mean, we need innovation in the recycling industry, and there's definitely room for that. So I would encourage you to check out what WM is doing. Yeah, we're a big corporation, but we have an office here in Oakland. But the benefit of working with a larger scale company like that is that they are doing work around how can we be better at recycling materials. And like I said earlier, California is kind of like a shining star when it comes to the rest of the country. We're ahead of the game. Like we are accepting compostable materials, and that's becoming the norm here. So we can be an example for other areas that haven't even gone in that direction yet. So we're doing really amazing things right now, and there's absolutely room to grow. Yes.
There's a question on Zoom of whether Waste Management has considered partnering with TerraCycle or Ridwell.
Ooh, interesting. I not that I know of. Makes sense though. Definitely makes sense. But I think one thing that we have in common is that we want to reduce the amount going to landfills. So I think it's good that there are other options out there, even if they might cost money, just depending on, you know, what works for your lifestyle. But what the city of Oakland is offering is an amazing way to be able to divert your materials. And it's amazing how many people are not taking advantage of compost. Compost is kind of new, right? How do you feel about capturing your food scraps and paper towels and napkins into a separate bin? A lot of time, I mean, you feel good about it?
Mhm.
I've definitely received some pushback on this from property managers, just saying, you know, hey, our residents aren't gonna do this. It's gross, you know, things like that. So it's really, it's been a challenge to kind of promote this and encourage people to do it. That's why we have that compost pail. Like, let's try to make this easy. Let's try to make this seamless. Like when you're preparing your meal, you can toss your food scraps into the little pail. You could take it out right away, or at my home of 5 people, we store it in the refrigerator and take it out as needed. The pail is pretty big. I mean, we fit multiple melon rinds, you know what I mean? So the more we talk about it, the more we hopefully make it a normal type of behavior, but we're still getting there. So food scraps, including bones, shells, meats, cheeses, can go into the compost here in Oakland. Paper towels and napkins, the pizza box, absolutely. And then yard debris. And this is really just kind of reviewing, yes, bones, shells, meats, cheeses. I want to point out that plastic is a contaminant in the compost, yes.
Is it something like a paper, is it better to put it into the recycling?
Yeah, clean paper, we want to put in the recycling, yeah. But one kind of area where there's a little synergy with the clean paper versus the food soil paper is when it comes to collecting your food scraps. You could probably line it with something like shredded paper or newspaper or something to help soak up all the juices and reduce the ick factor. So that's one area where you can kind of mix it up a little bit. So food soil paper, oh yes.
Okay, what about compostable, liners? Are they bad?
They don't break down in our compost facility. So the Oakland compost, similar process to recycling. The truck picks it up and dumps it at the tipping floor, and then it is transported to our compost facility, which happens to be a little bit past Livermore. And this compost is exposed to oxygen. It's called aerobic process, where it sits out in a pile and air is pumped into it over months and months, and it breaks down and it's turned and cured and sifted. And items like the plastic, or well, the compostable bag and the compostable utensils and cups and all that, they just don't break down. So we say don't put it in the compost because it's just not gonna break down in the process.
So is it like having a closed bag on the conveyor belt? Does that mean that if you put your compost in a bag, it just gets rejected, or?
Well, the compostable bag, it's not gonna break down.
Okay.
Yeah, so you wanna empty the bag into the bin if you
Okay.
can, yeah. Or bag it in a paper bag.
Got it.
Paper's
Okay.
the best to
Okay.
bag it in.
Okay.
You'll probably get to this, but there's questions about animal waste and
Right.
dead animals.
Right, both of those are not accepted in the compost. And this just has to do with the quality of the compost that we are producing. Our compost is used on organic farms. There's a special certification that it goes through for that. So no pet waste or dead animals. Or human waste. Yeah, so these utensils are a great example of the type of material that does break down. So that bamboo or the wood, that breaks down. But the bioplastic,
Cornstarch.
yeah, what we say is if it looks like plastic, it's going to act like plastic in our compost pile.
Question about to-go containers. They're kind of, most of them are lined with plastic.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so it's almost like a mixed material. That plastic liner is not gonna break down. Oh, so takeout containers, they're paper with the plastic lining. If it looks shiny, if it looks plastic, it's not gonna break down in our compost, unfortunately. And I gotta say, it's really hard to come by the matte looking papers, but keep an eye out, because I think maybe more of them will start pumping up. But this paper plate is a good example. It doesn't have a shine to it, and it will break down completely.
What about wax?
Wax is an interesting one. A lot of times it's mixed with something, it's mixed with some sort of plastic, and it doesn't break down. So yeah, we just say anything shiny.
so a lot of those things, I think people are putting them in the compost, they're just getting pulled out.
Well, yeah, during the process, because they're not breaking down. Like we have that sifting process, and they will capture a lot of things like that. Yeah.
So it sounds like coffee lids will not break down.
No.
They look like plastic even though they say compostable.
Copy lid's interesting item. They're too small to recycle and then they don't break down the compost, so they're a landfill item, unfortunately. And then yard debris, and here in Oakland, you know, we do not have a minimum or a maximum amount of compost that we collect. That's why you see this compost cart with the paper bag next to it. You can set as many paper bags next to it and we will pick it up. And that's because we are really encouraging diverting these materials from the landfill.
Does it have to be that yard waste size bag or could it be?
That's the best one to use because it's paper. Yeah,
Like not like a regular grocery bag.
no, because
Okay.
if our drivers see that, they'll think it's trash.
And I think my understanding is that you can also simply ask for another green bin if you have too much capacity most of the time.
Absolutely.
Maybe a big one and a small one, and you use one or the other depending upon what's happening that week at your yard.
Very good tip. Yes, there's no limit to the amount of compost.
It doesn't cost you more money, in
Oh,
other
right.
words, okay?
Right, yeah.
Just say something that.
Yes.
if that's okay.
Oh, absolutely. We are discussing here.
It's lovely that they're picked up and it's really nice that Oakland does that. And at the same time, all of this compostable material that you're taking off your land is turning into a product that you're gonna go back and buy and you go get fertilizer.
Yeah, so, well, I don't get your point, because my thinking is that you also could have a compost bin in your own yard and
Yes.
compost your own compostables and not do the green bin. But I think the state of California suspects we're mostly not doing that, so
Yeah,
they're,
it's
you
great
know,
that they're
so the
doing it.
green bin.
But I think just the people, you're aware that they can also take compost themselves. That
Yeah.
does have value.
Right. That's a good point. Ultimately, composting in your own yard or in a community space is the ideal thing to do because you are closing the loop. Versus this is on an industrial scale here where we are composting all across the city in a big compost pile way over in Livermore. Where the compost is sold to farmers to grow food. I mean, it's closed loop, but it's not as local. Yeah, so it definitely makes sense. If you have the capacity to compost yourself, absolutely, yes.
I'd like to add on to that, and you know, vermiculture is one thing because that's not exposed. Usually you have a lid on it. But if you don't know how to compost correctly, you might be attracting rats. Yeah, so I think it's important, you know, for people who do that, which is, I think it's great, but to understand.
Oh my goodness, you're so, yes. It's definitely important to understand how to properly compost at home. And I think there's some really cool, well, what do you think about these machines that are popping up that compost on your kitchen counter? What do you think of those? They seem cool. I'm curious about it, but I mean, you know, make sure you're doing it the right way. So you don't attract rodents and things like that. Yes.
I put out large rice bags with yard items.
Okay.
And I was told by one driver that no, you have to use only the commercial ones that you buy at a hardware store. Another driver did accept them.
Are they paper?
They're paper, rice bags. Paper.
Big
Yeah, it
plastic
seems like it would be fine in a big paper bag because, yeah, but
Does Waste Management have a policy?
it's that bad, yeah. That's the one everyone's going to all of our drivers would recognize, yeah. Yes.
Right, but my rice bags were the same material, same size. That's why I was asking if there's an official policy.
Yeah, I believe it is to use the large paper garden bags like it says there, only that, because, you know, you might build a relationship with your driver and they'll say, yeah, that makes sense because it's paper. But then what if your driver goes on vacation and then a new driver comes and they're like, okay, I don't know, this doesn't look right. You know, so that's the standard for sure. Okay, so tips for collecting food scraps. You can use your own tub, you can use our compost pail. Every Oakland resident can get one for free. Or you could bag it in the paper bag. I like to use my pail and then put it in the paper bag when I put it into the compost bin outside to keep it clean. It still gets dirty, but you know, it's a little bit cleaner. So if you do want to bag your compost, use a paper bag because it will break down in the process, not a plastic bag. And even compostable bags, like we mentioned, they're just not going to break down. Although they are made with better materials than a plastic bag, they just don't behave like food scraps and organic materials. Yeah, so we have these tools here today. You can pick one up if you'd like. And California Waste Solutions also distributes these tools. You can also pick them up at the Waste Management office, which is on 98th Avenue. Oh, yeah, wow, okay, let's keep going. Trash. Trash, what's accepted? What goes into the trash? So, a way you can think about it is like single-use items. You know, we went through this with the pandemic. We know about these things like gloves and masks, diapers, the flimsy plastics, unless you're taking them back to a grocery store or you have a place to take them, which is awesome. Otherwise, they're a trash item. Animal waste, human waste, hangers and hoses, those are on there because oftentimes they get put in the recycling and they really do tangle up in the process. So absolutely, trash item. We talked about small plastics like the utensils and the condiment cups, condiment wrappers, wrappers from snacks and the Mylar bag and styrofoam. Oh man, we're gonna be seeing much less styrofoam with the city's new ordinance on reducing or eliminating styrofoam from takeout containers. Thank goodness, right? So these are just common trash items. I think we also need to put, you know, shipping, like items that get shipped to you, they're getting a little bit better with some of those things, but goodness, they use a lot of materials and many of them cannot be recycled. So I think that might be one to add.
Question,
Yes.
what did you say about tanglers? What did you say about hangers and hoses? Where do
Yes.
they go?
Where do hangers and hoses go into the trash?
Yes, if they do go into the trash.
Yes.
They-
But okay, look at these examples. Like, okay, if your hose has an issue, yeah, trash. But we want to use things as much as we can. That hanger looks amazing. We should be using that.
Well, I like to say on the hangers that if you get something, you know, from the cleaners, but you have enough hangers at home, you can actually take that back to the original
I'm
cleaners.
sure they'd appreciate
And
that.
they'll take them, yeah.
Oh, excellent. So you're
Yeah.
saying that if you get your clothes dry cleaned or something like that, and they give you a hanger, you can return it back to them and they will accept it.
Yeah.
That's wonderful because these hangers can be a nuisance. They collect and then you're like, oh my gosh. But okay, good. That's
Yeah.
good to know.
Or the other thing is just say, I don't need a hanger. And I
Ah,
don't need the plastic bag. over it."
yes. I do that when I'm shopping and like, please no hanger.
Yeah, yeah.
They're getting ridiculous.
Sports Basement locally takes back hangers,
Oh,
tennis
wonderful.
balls, tennis shoes. They have a whole bunch of bins.
Really? Sports
Ah.
Basement is the place to check out for repurposing items, perhaps? Okay, so hangers and sports
Tennis
equipment.
shoes, tennis balls,
Uh-huh.
socks. They have a
Tennis
whole bunch of.
shoes. Wow, okay, I can't wait to check out Sports Basement. Very good tip. Okay, and then we're gonna talk about hazardous and bulky items. So the Alameda County has the household hazardous waste facility over on East Seventh Street. And I have their hours here because I went on a Tuesday, I think, and I was like, close. They're open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that's pretty good. You can drop in and drop off materials like e-waste, fluorescent bulbs, paint, and solvents and things like that.
So anything with a plug, I can't put in the trash, you do have to take that.
You wanna think about, if it has like a microchip in it or something like that, then it's considered like an e-waste, so. Yeah,
Does it cost money?
no. It's free, thank goodness, for residential waste, businesses.
Individual residential waste. If
Mhm.
you're an apartment building, your apartment manager can't necessarily collect all your paint cans and
Right.
take them down there because they might well be rejected. There's a workaround for that,
Yeah.
but this policy is basically on an individual basis.
So what about us? Do we take our e-waste there and?
You would have to,
As being depot, I mean.
yeah, you considered a business.
Right.
Yeah, so you would need to, there's a link that you could go to get down there. I think they do businesses on Monday and Tuesday. I think that's why they're closed. So,
E-waste, there's a place that accepts e-waste off the freeway between Cedar and Gilman, 2 blocks above Cedar on Second Street in Berkeley.
oh, wonderful. All right, e-waste.
They won't take batteries, they won't take light bulbs,
Okay.
but they'll take everything else.
That's another thing, so batteries, yeah. Okay, so if you are looking for another place to drop off e-waste, there's another location in Berkeley.
Gilman and Second,
On Gilman and Second.
or Fourth, or whatever it is. I
Okay,
think it's Fourth.
all right, wonderful. It's great to have options because I don't know if you've experienced this. It's just like, okay, it's not working and I can't have it sitting here anymore. So what do I do? Yes, having options is a good thing.
Also, bulky pickup will take e-waste and properly.
Yes. Another wonderful option is the bulky pickup. So Oakland residents have 1 free bulky pickup and 1 free bulky drop off to the facility if that works for you. And yes, we accept the e-waste, big items like furniture, mattresses, washing machines. Let's see. Oh, and so then another option is the bulky block party. So this is almost like a third option. These are located at Edgewater Drive in Oakland, and they happen on these following Saturdays. So June 22nd is the next one. But you have to provide proof of Oakland residency. Yeah.
You know, I went to the last one
Uh-huh.
and there were so many cars and they were only open from like 9 to 1. And there was no way we would get through in that time. There was over
Really?
200 cars. They went down the street and we ended up going on Gilman Street over there that the gentleman mentioned. Because our stuff could be sorted and they accepted it in their bin.
Okay.
Because there was no way, we only had a few items, but
Oh,
to
wow.
wait in the line, there were lots of trucks filled, like excessively, tires I saw a lot of, and just, but they were parked for like 5
Like this
blocks down.
Oh my
It
gosh.
was
Okay.
insane.
Wow.
So I unfortunately, I was wondering if, because they get such a large amount, would they be open to more dates? Because once every month,
I think that is such a good
There's
idea.
no way you could, you know. use that
Okay, I'm
as an
so
option.
glad to hear your feedback about how popular the bulky block parties are with hundreds
Yeah.
of vehicles coming through and the possibility of not making it through in this small window of time.
Yeah.
This is great feedback to provide to the city. Because they are coordinating these bulky block parties, and I think if there's demand for more, it would be great to see more. So I don't know, I can bring that feedback back to the city and to WM. So thank you for sharing.
Got a question about components of electronics that aren't electronic themselves. Like somebody had the broken bottom of a bullet blender, plastic with an aluminum blade. Could that go to e-waste even though it doesn't have like electronics in it, or would that just go to garbage?
If it has a cord connected to it, they'll take it.
But she said it, I asked that, she said e-chips, it has a.
The what?
Well, yeah, the microchip is the main indicating factor for the e-waste.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that would probably not be recyclable in any way. That would
No, not recyclable.
Okay.
Not through your curbside recycling.
But I mean, could it be taken to electronic recycling or some other?
Possibly, yeah. Such, I mean,
I've
it's like a
taken them in.
piece.
I've
Yeah.
taken things like that.
Okay.
and they've
So it
been
sounds like
accepted.
the one in Berkeley, the electronic recycling place in Berkeley.
The one that's 2 blocks above Cedar
Yeah.
on Second.
Is it second or fourth? I thought you said.
The
fourth.
Gilman one is, I think, 4th. The others, the second is the other side of the railroad tracks.
Huh, okay.
So it sounds like Berkeley's electronics recycling, you can bring things like that to drop off.
Appliances.
Thanks.
Refrigerators, other items are in a different category because they're free.
Okay. Well, we are really past time. It's
Yeah.
7:30. I have a quiz, but I don't think we need to do that. I think we can go through questions, if there are questions, and also distribute the tools, if you would like, a pail and a caddy bag for your recyclables. If you're an open restaurant.
Deposits that we pay, I feel like it's a California ripoff, like there's no place to get our money back. Actually, you can go to Safeway now, up on College Avenue, Safeway. And they will take it there for customer service. You don't get very much money, it's more that you feel good that you're recycling it, because at 5 cents, I just feel like you're such a racket.
No, you can also at the Berkeley transfer station, which is around Second and Gilman, the conservation or collection, whatever. The recycling center there will give you deposits back.
They write a check. The homeless then have to go to a gas station and buy something in order to cash the check.
Alameda used to have these easy places that go and none of the store, Whole Foods used to take stuff back. Safeway on College. Yeah, but I think they have a limit too, because I think they don't want somebody coming up with a big cart full. All that money is going to who?
I have a question on recycling paper.
Yes.
So if I tear a sheet of paper out of a loose leaf notebook, that would then go into the bin for recycling paper. If I shred it, I've been told I then put it in a paper bag, staple the paper bag closed, and put it in compost.
You don't have to do all of that. You could just put the shredded paper into the compost. It's fine. If you want to put it in a paper bag, that's fine. You don't need to staple it for compost.
Why is shredded paper different from a whole sheet of paper?
Yeah, so shredded paper, it's too small to be captured in the process. I'd have to check with California Waste Solutions, CWS, to see if they accept it in a paper bag, because sometimes there was a point where you could put shredded paper in a paper bag and then put it in recycling so that they would capture it. But because they don't want it loose in the bin, because during the process it just falls through the cracks, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yes.
How about receipt?
Receipt paper. is the
How about
question.
receipt paper?
Lovely palette, you can draw on it.
What is receipt paper made of?
It's kind of toxic.
Yeah. And there's like a film.
Heat sensitive stuff.
Heat sensitive paper.
Or the one, yeah.
I don't recycle it. It's also kind of small.
So what is an acceptable size to put in recycling?
Oh, okay. So when it comes to sizes, at least for the plastic items, paper is a little different, I think. Plastic items, we're looking at the palm of your hand. Or anything that's smaller than a yogurt cup is gonna fall through the cracks.
Right.
Yes. So paper is really interesting. Larger is better because it will be captured easier.
Right.
So shredded paper should go to the compost. But even like if you have junk mail, whole is good. You don't want to rip it up or anything like that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Does it need to be bundled?
No, just thinking about, does paper need to be bundled? It doesn't need to be bundled. The way the process works, I think it's probably kind of heavy on the cardboard with the design and the paper board, because it goes through the assembly line and then there's that point where it's kind of rotating through and then it floats down. So the larger pieces are floating down to be captured. And that, I don't know, it seems to skew toward cardboard and paperboard. But they are also kind of light, floating on top. And then bundled how?
Great, like with a rubber band
Rubber
or.
band. Yeah, it's probably gonna get separated
Okay.
during the process because it is so there's so much movement.
I put it in a brown grocery bag and I put all my papers like junk mail in it, and then I can carry it out.
This is what it says here about receipts. That I guess there's BPA in it. Cannot be removed from the paper. Receipts are not recyclable.
Like they're a mixed
And
material.
it says, well, where do we throw away receipts? The most straightforward and general answer is that receipts are not recyclable, so they should be thrown into mixed garbage. They say usually black containers.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Very dark gray.
Yeah.
Got gunmetal grade of everything.
Well, they can use the recyclables now is gray, so they can melt that down and make containers for the garbage in gray.
I'm so curious to know what's going to happen. I'll have to ask my contact at CWS about that, because I know they're more of a local company. I know they have the company here in Oakland and I think in the South Bay, but if they're beyond California, maybe they could repurpose them, but I'm not sure. And then WM, I know we're going to be ordering new bins.
A question about used tea bags.
Used tea bags, yes.
Could they become consider.
They can,
As
and
long as they
then,
don't have the little staple, I think some do, but if they don't have the staple. No, not the ones I use. They
really?
don't- They don't
Good,
have the
that's
staple.
probably better.
The circle one.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But there are some tea bags I've seen. They look like they're plastic. Have you seen those? Nylon.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's not gonna break down. But
Those staples are so small. I would think that
it's a minor kind of contaminant, because there is a certain percentage we can have. And it's probably not gonna build up quickly with tea bag staples.
Pocket is a- What about this thing? It's got a triangle. I can't read the number on it. It's got a plastic wrap that, I could cut it off.
Oh, those
It's got a
bottles.
lid that's made out of plastic and I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's considered a recyclable item. Those bottles wrapped in plastic. They look
Yeah.
good, but there is a process to remove that outer plastic.
So so I can put the lid back on when it's empty, rinsed out and dry and throw it in the blue bin. Right?
Yes.
Recycle bin.
In the recycle.
My recycle, it's blue.
Oh, good.
Yes, yeah. But when an old,
But
Yeah.
don't buy it.
Yeah.
I
we
would,
gotta get
excuse
that
me, but I
way.
would like to use this product and it comes only in this container.
That
So
sucks.
I do buy it
That sucks.
and I'll continue to buy it because I never have a choice.
Yes.
Yeah, but also 1930, 2036, maybe.
Right. Hopefully things are shifting. And like you were saying earlier, like write to the people or the companies that you work with a lot to let them know, hey, are you considering other options? Because it really does make a difference. Was there a Zoom question?
Yes, there are Zoom questions about bottle caps, like beer bottle caps, and plastic cups and batteries.
The bottle caps should probably be reused or go into the trash because they're just so small.
Metal caps, because somebody on Zoom responded that he thought they should be put back on the glass bottle.
You
But,
could.
they're a mixed material though.
Are they?
Like the bottle cap, like a beer bottle.
Because it has a little seal on the
It's
inside.
plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really gonna end up as one of those residue items in the process because it's gonna fall through the cracks, the glass gets broken.
Yeah.
you
Okay,
know.
so beer bottles in the trash. I mean, beer bottle caps
The caps,
in the
yeah.
trash. All right.
Or donate them to the depot.
Or donate them to the
Yeah,
depot.
bottle caps are, I feel like a hot
Well, look out.
commodity.
Yeah.
There's the whole bin.
Oh my goodness, yeah, you could do so many things with them, so. And then, okay, so
plastic
plastic
cups.
cups, are we talking like solo cups that are red
Yeah,
cups?
or
There's
like the
clear cups.
clear plastic.
There are all sorts of plastic cups. They look really good. They look pretty sturdy. They probably have a 1 on the bottom. But they aren't ideal for recycling. But they look the part, right? But unfortunately, they're not recyclable.
What about the coffee cups, like Pete's is no plastic, but Starbucks is plastic?
Pete's isn't plastic?
No, it's not coated.
Really?
Well, I compared it to other vendors and it seemed like it was compostable, so.
Coffee cups are designed to keep moisture out, and the way they do that is by adding some sort of plastic layer to it. And that's why we consider coffee cups a mixed material. I'm really interested in this topic and to learn more about the difference that you see in the peaks versus other coffee cups. It's been the biggest challenge for me to find a beverage cup, a hot beverage cup that does not have plastic in it.
Bring your own.
And then on those same lines, paper milk cartons that have the little built-in plastic cap. What do you do with that?
We talked about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
already.
did
That's called.
Yeah.
citrus
You
cycle.
can
is
recycle
okay.
those because there's a manufacturer that will take them back.
Oh, so you don't have to tear the cap out?
You don't
Okay.
have to take it.
So paper milk cartons with plastic caps, okay to put in recycling. Great.
And batteries are household hazardous waste. There is a convenient way for Oakland residents to dispose of their batteries. You can put them in a clear plastic bag, like a Ziploc kind of bag, and set it on top of your recycle bin, and the driver will know to put that in a special compartment for battery disposal.
Is that true for businesses too, or not?
It's for residential, yeah. I'll have to follow up with you on all the specifics for businesses.
Oh.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, burning question about lids, for like plastic bottles or even the Tetra Pak. So I know that the item needs to be dried. I've been like rinsing things out, letting them dry on my counter, putting the lid back on them and in the recycling. But is there a better way, like what's better, just to leave them to dry maybe in the recycling without the lid on, so that, because I can't keep doing that, it's too much.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
When it comes to getting your recyclables ready for the recycling bin, what's the ideal thing to do?
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about a scenario where you're not at home. You are out and about, and say you got a plastic drink. We're not gonna have the access to wash and dry it. What we will have access to is making sure it is completely empty. So that is okay. Just making sure you dump it or drink it, right? Drink it, eat it. And then, just make sure there's not like a pool of water in there, because we're just imagining the process of this bottle going into the truck and smashed. That top, it might pop off, it might stay on, but things break and pop, and if there's anything in there, it's gonna get onto something else. So we just want to reduce the amount. If you've been to a recycling facility, oh my gosh, it's smelly, like liquid, it gets in, it does. But we just want to do our best to make sure that we reduce the amount.
Good job.
Any other questions? This is
Oh, I do have a question.
oh yes.
Are they open for visitors at the recycling?
Ooh, yes. So WM, our facility is the facility open for visitors.
Yeah.
So it's located on Davis Street in San Leandro, and it is open to the public for dumping and things like that. But there is an education center out there, which is run by Stop Waste, and they host schools. They host students to do the tour and discuss waste diversion. But they also hold open houses. So if you connect with Stop Waste somehow, I think you need to connect with their schools team, but they'll host an open house where anyone can come in and visit, and then they do a tour of the transfer station. And we're hoping to collaborate with East Bay Depot for Creative Reuse to do a deep dive into this topic through our 100 Change Makers program, which is a it's a cohort where we do 4 classes. They meet for 1 hour a week, so 4 weeks, and discuss different topics. We'll go a little bit deeper into what does it mean to be sustainable? What happens? What's the process of a water bottle? What does that look like, the whole cycle? We talk about composting. We talk about the material recovery facility, like taking a look inside. And then another component that we want to add to that, if you want to be a part of the 100 Changemakers program, is to do a tour at Davis Street. And usually the tour consists of looking at what we call the pit. That's where the trash trucks dump everything. And then there's also another component we like to do, and it's looking at what we call our construction and demolition MRF. MRF stands for Material Recovery Facility. So this is taking a peek at those conveyor belts and just seeing the items kind of bouncing along, and taking a look at the technology. It's like there's simple things that are going on, like using magnets and using, but then there are also complex things like using optical scanners to see, is this a plastic number 1? So, plus people, quality control, you know? So if you're interested in the 100 Changemakers program, we're hoping to host a cohort here in the fall, potentially. Yeah.
One more question
Yes.
here. Do you know of any regular giveaway locations for compost for Oakland residents?
Compost. Oh, so the city of Oakland does give away compost, and I don't have their schedule. It's usually at events like Earth Day events, things like that. I'll have to ask and see if they have it all written out, like a calendar that I could share. Because I know other cities, they have regular compost giveaways. Like, hey, in May, on the first Tuesday, we're giving out compost, and you have to go through this whole process, like fill out a waiver, and then you drive up, and then they'll load the compost onto your vehicle. But Oakland does not do that. Oakland distributes compost. They distribute compost to their parks and gardens, and then occasionally they'll do a compost giveaway.
But I think Berkeley, I don't even think you have to fill out a paper. You just go down with your own bucket and shovel, and I think it might be the first Friday of the month, every month.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love
Down
that.
at the waterfront, like if you're going to Cesar Chavez Park, you know, and you turn right, and it's right in that area right there.
Yeah, I think this feedback is important to share with the city because I've received multiple questions about how to get compost. And yeah, other cities give it away. Oakland does too. It's just not as structured.
Yeah.
But that's good feedback to share with the city because we collaborate as Oakland Recycles, and they love to hear from Oakland residents. So yes. Yeah, so would anyone like a compost pail or a recycling caddy? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thank you for coming today and for your great questions and discussion.
My neighbor, I think this is recyclable at all.
Oh.
But this is like peanut